Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
And I'm Erin Palmer, Team Rayceen Productions co-host and moderator.
Joining us is SiSi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Pleasure. Hello.
Hi, SiSi. Before we get started talking about your solo play and other topics, please tell our viewers a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. My name is SiSi Reid. My pronouns are she, her, and I grew up in Wheaton, Maryland, a suburb outside of Washington, D.C. Also have roots in Norfolk, Virginia, and the Black rural South. And I am a storyteller, a theater practitioner who does many things. So I'm a singer, a dancer, a playwright, a director, also an avid teaching artist and educator. I work with youth from ages 2 all the way up through 17, as well as adults. And I'm a big practitioner of using theater for healing, for youth empowerment, and collective liberation. So everything I do is about how do we bring people together? How do we expand what stories we're seeing on stage, on film, in communities? And how do we create stories that amplify our own needs for social justice, for healing, for access to resources? So that's what I do as a storyteller, activist, and theater artist.
Amazing, amazing. And we love a storyteller around these parts. So please tell us about Soul Shine Theater Garden and some of your artistic inspirations.
Yes. So, as of about a year ago, I decided to create my own philosophy around the process of making theater, as well as the type of stories that I want to see and witness as a storyteller. So, Soul Shine Theater Garden is very spiritually grounded. I'm a very spiritual person, grew up in households that were about ancestral connection, connection to the earth, earth as a family member, earth as an ancestor, earth as myself, that we are connected, that we are one. So I decided that I needed to bring in my spiritual practices more closely to my practices as a theater artist and put it into a philosophy. So that's why we have the soul shine, so that as we're making the theater, I want to combat the exhaustion that capitalism often has actors and practitioners face. So, how can we have a process that uplifts rest, that uplifts joy, that uplifts play, that uplifts connection while we are doing the hard and um, challenging work of building sets and of making productions? So, in Soulshine Theater, we believe in centering the humanness and the human needs of those who are there to make the theater. And we also want to see shows that reflect marginalized voices. We want to see stories from Black and Brown, immigrant, trans, queer, disabled, et cetera, those who are continually, historically, and systematically silenced. So I wanted to create a production company, a theater company, a movement, a philosophy that was about how do we center Blackness, transness, queerness, and also uplift the joy and the rest and the beauty and the magic that we are. And so everything that we will do as an organization, as a company, as a collective will be grounded in those values and particularly grounded in travel. So I'm big on travel and cross-cultural connection. So the idea is that there won't be one home for Soulshine Theater Garden. It will be placed all over the world as I travel as a storyteller and educator. And so that is the mission of Soulshine Theater Garden. And it's deeply inspired by a lot of things I grew up with. So I grew up exposed to a lot of Black women's culture, Black women's songs, storytelling through music like Sweet Honey in the Rock, Zap Mama. And so I'm inspired by Black women's spaces where we can be vulnerable, where we can be powerful, where we can be in our rage, in our sensuality, in our power, and share stories to connect and to allow the feminine to have space. And when I say the feminine, I mean that for all genders of people. And so for me as a Black woman, as someone who is connected with my sensuality, I want to create spaces for all beings to connect back to the feminine power of earth, of sensuality. And so I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by the earth. I'm inspired by laying outside. I'm inspired by travel. I'm inspired by the beautiful Black and Brown cultures, indigenous cultures all over the country. And so I decided that Soulshine Theater Garden should always be rooted in Afro-Indigenous cultural technologies, dance, call and response, the drums, gathering around food together. So I really want to bring us back to some ancient and current practices of how do we gather as human beings and connect as human beings around art and around community, all for healing.
That's really lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us. Can you also tell us a little bit about some of your experiences with the DC History Conference?
Yes. So I in 2022 I applied to give a poster presentation and I was accepted. And so I decided to start doing research about Black leisure spaces, Black spaces where Black folks have been allowed to publicly like have joy. So swimming pools, amusement parks. And so I found that there was interesting research around the segregation of these spaces, which I had never really learned about in school. Like I learned about other areas, you know, diners and restaurants, but never thought about the pools and the amusement parks and places where children and families gather to play and leisure being segregated spaces as well. So I thought that was interesting and decided to do research around it and present a poster presentation connected to Black joy and some of the other themes I've already been exploring in my art. And then from there, I went on to apply in 2023 and decided to create my second solo show around that research. So as an art scholar, I took the research and then activated it and engaged with it by making it into a show about Rosedale Park, which is a significant park in the desegregation of parks of DC. So I placed the play there in the 1950s, and then I also placed the play at the Clubhouse, which is a historic gathering place for gay and lesbian and queer Black folks from about the 1970s to the early 1990s. My years might not be quite right, but I basically took us on a time travel through those two different spaces to show how significant spaces are that we need for children to play and for Black, queer, and gay and lesbian folks to be able to gather and express themselves. And so the play is based on this research, and I was able to kind of delve into this scholarly side of myself because of the DC History Conference. So I'm really excited to like keep applying every year and just keep doing research around the unique and like important DC historical sites that are connected to joy and gathering and community, especially for Black children and Black queer folks.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so glad that you were able to, marry your art with your scholarly research and, create something new and create something poignant as well, that people can not only themselves gather in that space, and be entertained, but also being able to learn and kind of look at it from outside of themselves on the importance of even being able to gather in a space like that, to come together and learn more about one's history. So that is really, really wonderful and beautiful. Now, speaking of people gathering to, come together to see something, to do something, to fellowship, to have joy, let's talk about rock, paper, scissors. Give us some insight on rock, paper, scissors.
Yes, I love that. It was a great segue. Rock, Paper, Scissors is my first solo show, and it is premiering June 22nd through the 25th at the Atlas Performing Arts Center on 8th Street. And it's being produced by my company, Soulshine Theater Garden, as well as The Welders. So I am a producing playwright with The Welders, which is a DC-based playwrights collective that has a unique model because every 3 to 4 years, the group of artists that runs the organization passes it on to a new group of artists. So we are the third cohort to have ran this organization, and we are the first all Black cohort as well, which is historic and important in its own right. And so I am grateful, excited, all of the nerves about sharing my first solo show. I've been working on it for about 6 years, and it is, in essence, my healing journey as a Black queer woman in the metaphor of rock, paper, scissors. For those who are familiar with the game, each element wins and loses with another element, and I decided to use that concept to explore how back when I was coming in and coming out to myself as bisexual and queer, it felt like I couldn't be all three at the same time, meaning Black, woman, and queer. I felt like I had to choose. I felt like one had to hide behind the other. And it was a place of deep pain and deep denial and deep internalized systematic oppression that I was dealing with on a personal, deeply personal level. And so to process it, to work through it, I decided to create this play to explore the ways in which I feel like I have to compete against myself when I'm in certain spaces as I move through the world. And so this play is showing me start as a child free, and then how the world places these labels, places these conditions upon my body as a Black queer woman to have to negotiate and compete and navigate invisibility and hypervisibility. And so it's a journey that I tell mostly through dance with also poetry. And so it's my first time as an artist doing a solo show, doing something that is heavily dance, that is less text. And so it is a big endeavor for me as an artist. And I wrote this for Black femmes, Black queer women, Black and brown queer people. And so I hope that those who watch it can connect to it and see and ask themselves some questions that I'm asking myself about healing and about how to be whole. And so I'm excited to invite all the folks from DC to see it, and plan to tour the country and tour the world. That's the dream, the goal, and the hope.
It's such a creative premise to talk about yourself within the context of a childhood game. I think that's really creative and thoughtful, and will hopefully inspire people to think about themselves and the parts of their being and personality in a different way.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, most importantly, for our viewers, how they can get tickets and actually see the show.
Yeah, so the Atlas Performing Arts website has tickets on their website, as well as the welders.org. So, but the welders.org will lead you back to the Atlas Performing Arts website. So that's the best way to get tickets. And I'm also, at the same time, while folks are buying tickets to see the show, I'm also fundraising for this tour that I'm dreaming and planning and envisioning. So I am also going to be, during these shows, asking folks humbly, gratefully, boldly, if you have any amount of money to donate to the vision of seeing this play in many states and cities all over the country and the world. I'm asking folks to donate and support in that way, because theater, as we know, always happens through community. It never happens through one person's effort. So either buying a ticket or donating to the tour are ways that folks can show up and support and pour into me and pour into this play that will be shared with the world very soon.
Awesome, amazing. And to our viewers, make sure that you scan the QR code on your screen right now to take you right to the link to donate to the tour. So please go ahead and do that. Now, if people want to learn more about you, SiSi, follow you, keep up with you, all the things to know what's going on with you, how are they able to do that?
So I do have a website. It is sisireid.com, and I'm on the social medias, as many folks are. So you can find me on Instagram at SiSi Soulshine. And I do have an Instagram for Soulshine Theater Garden, which is at Soulshine Theater Garden. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Instagram are probably the best ways, but Facebook, I'm at SR Actor, and on Twitter, I'm at Reid SiSi. So hopefully all of those ways can get you in connection with me. I'm open to collaboration. I'm open to working with other creatives and artists and activists and community organizers. So if you have an idea, please feel free to message me, and I'm glad to chat, talk, and connect with people.
This is great. SiSi, thank you so much for joining us. Viewers, links are in the description, and make sure to check out SiSi and all that she is up to and working on and will create now and in the future. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
To those watching, please follow Team Rayceen on social media.
And click around our YouTube channel and check out our other interviews, vlogs, forums, and more. While you're there, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, viewers, thank you for watching.